language development is key. Now, I am a speech language pathologist, so for me, the key issue is language development. And that means the way that your child is developing their ability to express themselves. And this can be done, you can support your child by doing lots of talking to them. You can sing with them. You can do lots of reading with them. And so for me, the reading and literacy, the reading and language go together. And so that is why it's important for me that we have language skills, which are the support for the reading skills. Um, you can engage with your child on a regular basis. So some of you guys have younger kids, some of you have older kids. One of the things we talk about with younger kids is having enough language input. And one of the great equalizers for language input is literacy, having books to read. Because some parents talk more than others. Some parents narrate to their kids about their environment and what they're doing and what's going on. But we can equalize that experience by having the opportunity to read books. And so that's kind of the relationship there. Two, literacy is more than reading. Literacy includes, as you hear me say in our motto, it's thinking, it's speaking, it's listening, it's writing. It is all of those different kinds of modalities that we use our language skills. And also, it's about gaining knowledge in different areas. So we think about things like health literacy and financial literacy. And so it goes beyond just having reading and writing abilities, but also being able to use your reading and writing skills to gain new information and knowledge. So your kids, as they're developing, let them read more than books. I know kids don't do it like we used to when we were younger, where we read the cereal box at the table and, anything that we can get our hands on, we were reading, but allow your kids to read more than just books and let them see you doing that too. If you're doing cookbooks or manuals or, reading the screen on the television to figure out what station you want to watch, let them understand that literacy is around them everywhere. There's lots of opportunity to engage with print. Number three, parental involvement. Engaged parents have kids who perform better in school. That means that you understand what's happening in your kid's classroom. It means that you know your kids' friends. It means that you know your kids' parents, that you know the resources that are available for your kids in the community. And one of the things that we have aimed for at UGMA is to connect you with resources so that you are aware of what's going on in the environment, in the community, and that you can be involved with your child in the community. We also, on a monthly basis, we have these table topics, and those table topics usually have ways that you can engage with your classrooms, engage with your teachers. We have questions for parent-teacher conferences. So we always have extra. Please take those home with you, those table topics on the table. They're an opportunity for you to figure out ways to connect with your child's teachers and be involved in the classroom. Number four is social emotional learning. This is a big one right now. We have a lot of dysregulated kids, and I think there's not enough opportunity for kids to express their feelings or even know how to express their feelings. And so it's our responsibility as adults to help them understand the language for expressing their emotions. So sometimes we have to give them the language of telling them what they might be feeling or giving them options about what they might be feeling. I think it's important that we check in with our kids about their feelings and let them express their feelings. I remember growing up for me, my mom was one who said, I want you to tell me, I may get mad, but I'll get over it. It was her way of keeping a line of communication open between us as I was growing and developing so that we would have that kind of communication skills. Um, I think that it's also important that we help our children to develop empathy and self-control. And there's lots of support out there for this. Right now, the school district in Springfield is using conscious discipline. Who's familiar with conscious discipline? I know many of you guys are, and I have been surprised to hear children as young as kindergarten using the language of conscious discipline to express how they're feeling and how they need to transform their brains and their bodies into different kinds of emotions. Have you guys seen some of that? Have you guys have your kids using it? Anybody have any examples of their kids using conscious discipline?
Like that's like love and logic, basically. Is that
It's not the same thing as Love and Logic. It's a different program. Yeah, it does have some of the same components, but they're not the same program. They have some of the same components. uh yeah, part of what conscious discipline, and those of you guys who are in the schools who are using it more than I am may correct me, includes having those three different brain systems, and the kids using the photographs about their being in their red and their blue and their green brains, and kids can tell you about when they're dysregulated, so they understand what's going on with their bodies in their brains, and they have the language to understand how to get into a different headspace. Anybody else have any? Yes.
yesterday? I just walked into my room and said, "I'm mad," and I was like, "This is
It is a development important one.
star breathing and balloon breath also, which I know he learned as part of his behavior management plan at school. So it's been really great to see him, taking up some of that. He expresses pretty well, but to be attaching like feeling words now is really exciting.
Those feeling words are so powerful for children and their ability to express themselves. They have these big feelings, but they don't know what to do with them, and they don't have the language to deal with it. But we can give them that language. We can give them the words of how to express their emotions. One of the things I can say that we've seen over the last several years is that particularly post COVID, is a lot more dysregulated kids who don't have the experience or the language for expressing their emotions. And so this is a really important one. And I think one of the other big issues that we talk about with social emotional learning and conscious discipline is that parents have to be regulated first. Parents have to be regulated first. If you're dysregulated, you can't support a dysregulated kiddo. So you may need to take a breath and do some box breathing and take a moment before you interact with a dysregulated child, because a dysregulated parent cannot support a dysregulated kid. We have to start with ourselves. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Because, like you said, like you have to be conscious. You are their model. Like most of their behaviors are learned behaviors. So what they see you do, what they see in their environment is how they're gonna act. So like, and especially I don't really do like the discipline
Hmm.
type of method. It's more like the guided learning natural consequence.
Hmm. Which is a form of discipline.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Hmm.
the discipline I grew up with.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's just nice. It's made me a better person because I've had to really look at myself and say, who do I want her to be? Because she's going to essentially model what I do.
Yeah, and I work with kids with disabilities, and even kids with disabilities, those who have communication challenges, can be given the language for expressing their emotions, whether it is through pictures, whether it's through sign. There are ways that we can engage all children with the ability, give them the gift of being able to express their emotions. That releases a lot of the frustrations when they can just express themselves. And so that's a big part of developing that social emotional learning. Here's a big one for me. I believe, as a part of our family literacy programs, and these are frameworks that I've taken, not that I develop on my own, but these are frameworks for family literacy programs nationwide, that it's important that we connect with community. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been partners with the Springfield Greene County Library since the very beginning. We've been partners with parents as teachers from the very beginning of our inception. It's important for me that my families, and I consider you guys all of my families, develop and build social capital in our community. That you know who are the people who can provide you with resources, that you know where to get your needs met, that you know what resources are available to you. And we try to provide provide you with as many of those resources here so that you can go out into the community and utilize those resources. It's also important for me, and we haven't done as good of a job recently, and we're hoping to do some things to help facilitate this more, is that you build community among yourselves. We live in a society right now that we're very isolated. We live alone in isolated little worlds, and we don't engage with a lot of people. Some of us have family, some of us don't have family that is nearby. This creates a lot of loneliness, and there is an epidemic of loneliness right now, that you will hear in the in the literature. And I think that by coming here and connecting with community, but also developing relationships here, you have other parents who have children of the same age as yours. Develop those relationships so that your kids have friends, that you have friends, that you can support one another while you're going through similar kinds of things. I think that's very important part of the development. I hope that you guys are taking the library handouts that we bring here and are utilizing the library. They are a great resource. As Dina said, all of our families have either been through Parents as Teachers or are currently in Parents as Teachers, and that's fantastic. While I am on the school board, I try to connect families as much as possible. I am always a resource. If you have a need that I can connect you with, I'm happy to connect with those needs. But we want for our families to be able to advocate for yourselves also, which is my number 7. I'm actually skipping number 6. Skipping number 6, but number 7 is to be an advocate. Number 6, celebrate diversity. By coming here, you guys are creating an atmosphere where your children are exposed to lots of different kinds of kids, not just racial and ethnic diversity, but also social economic diversity, ability diversity. We have lots of different variability that is happening here at UGMA, and we've intentionally tried to create that. We live in a society right now that's going through a lot of transitions that have people afraid. But I think that as we create a community here at UGMA, we're teaching our children, we're giving them opportunity to understand the importance and the beauty of diversity. It shouldn't be something to be feared. It's something to be celebrated. We can do this by being present in spaces where we are around people with differences, but we can also do it through books. And that's another way that we can expose our children to diversity. Um, Number 7, be an advocate. We changed our logo and our mission a couple of years ago. We changed the term empower to advocate because we wanted to have parents learn how to advocate for themselves, for their families, for their children, and for me, it's also that we advocate for one another. Ujima is a Swahili word. It's one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and it means collective work and responsibility. And for me, that really means about how we come together to help solve each other's problems, how we come together to meet each other's needs. And when I think about being an advocate is not self-centered. It should not just be about you. We should be able to advocate for each other in our community, particularly the community that we're building together. We are working on providing you guys with tools and language and resources for advocacy for your kids, and it doesn't have to be um, antagonistic. I think lots of times when people think about advocating for their kids in the school system, they think that I have to go in there ready to fight. It doesn't have to be a fight. Many of us want to support you and help you. I would love to say all of us do, but many of us want to help and support you. And so we're not looking for a fight. You tell us what you need and what you want, and we'll do our best to help you to get those things for your child within reason, what we can do. And so it's important that you have the language and the skills for advocating and understand that you are willing to fight, but you don't always have to fight. Be ready for, to do whatever you need to that is necessary to support your kids, your family, your community. But also know that everything does not have to be a fight. There are plenty of people who want to support you and to make sure that you have the resources that you need for your kids to do well. We have kids who are in special education, and even for those who aren't in special education. There's always a way that we can advocate for our kids to get the best that they can within their classroom. And also, when you see needs in your community with other kids, advocate for those kids too. I talk to parents, particularly those parents who come from resourced backgrounds. It's important that you are supporting the community that your kids are in, the schools and the kids who don't have resources. We can advocate for others through our resources, through our own social capital. Number 8, develop and model healthy habits.